Hey everyone, it's Cam here, Senior National Training Manager at Diode LED. We have our next reel-to-reel. This is going to be on grazing techniques. We are going to talk about a product we already have. We've actually done a reel-to-reel on in the past. And then we're also going to have a brand new flexible optic that's IP65 that we'll be showcasing today. This is brand new. We just released it on the website. So in reel-to-reel fashion, let's get into it. We only have 15 minutes, so we'll start with the slides here and I'll show some close-ups and demo and things like that. So, awesome. All right, as you can see, right, reel to reel, this is really focused on single products or maybe a couple products, a deep dive. Today is going to be about grazing techniques. And so I really want to dispel the difference between grazing versus wall washing, which is what we'll do first, and then we'll talk about some of the solutions we have. Right, so wall washing versus grazing. Right, and so a lot of people mistake one or the other. Wall washing's been around a lot longer. Grazing was a technique that came maybe around 6-7 years ago, where we actually put a grazer much closer to the wall and narrowed that optic to give you these really nice dramatic effects on some type of textured wall. So just to dispel it, right, wall washing is really indirect lighting placed at a distance from the wall. Usually it's about 12 inches or farther from the wall. And the light can fall on this wall in an equal, uniformed way, softening the shadows and defects in the wall. Right, so just to give you another example here, this would be a wall washer, right, a little bit farther away from the wall with a wider optic. You can think of this as when you really don't want to see the details in the wall. Maybe you'll wash that to kind of get rid of those imperfections on the wall, versus grazing, right, is a directional light placed a lot closer to the wall, usually 12 inches or close to the wall, and it is at a narrow angle. This angle draws the eyes to the wall's texture by casting shadows. This is the most important part about grazing, is that you're seeing the imperfections of that wall, but usually it is a textured stone wall. And you are trying to create these shadows and dramatic effect using a narrow optic. Just to give you another example of grazing, right, putting that much closer to the wall with a nice narrow optic, and you're almost, the actual, one of the root words for grazing, can you not hear it? It's hard to hear?
And I just got a note that the picture quality is bad.
Oh, interesting. The picture quality is bad.
Well,
that might be on there. Let's put on the. We'll just put it on the other speaker here, really quick. Sorry, guys. Give us 1 second. We're trying a new.
Megan Smith just said we can hear you.
You guys can't hear us.
No, they can. CAN.
Okay. All right. We'll continue then. Yeah, we'll continue. I'll try to speak a little closer to the speaker here.
Everybody's coming in now saying picture quality's fine, audio's fine.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. I appreciate the feedback here. So yeah, grazing, right, that narrow optic. And so just another little snapshot of the difference between wall washing and wall grazing, right? And so you'll find certain types of walls where maybe they don't have as much texture, right? That's where you want to wash that. Maybe you have artwork on that wall and you want this nice uniform look, versus grazing is when you have a geometric wall, a stone wall with texture, and you're trying to allow the shadows to pop, right? The difference between the light and the shadow, that contrast. That's when you'll put it much closer to the wall and you'll have a narrow optic and you'll scrape down that wall. That is actually one of the root words for grazing. So grazing challenges, right? This is something we've dealt with in the past. Really, grazing became very popular 6-7 years ago. The issue was grazers were extremely expensive. They were very, very bulky, right? They're not customizable, so you're stuck with the dimensions you get. So maybe 18 inches, 24, 36, 48. So what would happen, right? Someone would have a 44-inch wall. They can't use 48. That's too big. So they would choose to go 36, and now you're only grazing through the middle of the wall and you have hot spots on the end. So that was another issue. Size restrictions, right? Adjustability of the fixture, and even light leakage. There's a lot of grazers out there that the optic is not very controlled, and so you skim down the wall with the optic, but you get a whole bunch of light leakage coming out. So this is glare. This is not good for glare, right? It doesn't do good for glare control. You have these striations of light coming off of that actual wall. And then the other issue, right? Limited performance. Maybe going up to only 300, 400 lumens. You can only graze a wall that's 10 to 12 feet. That's it. So you were very limited in the past. So for us, right, we wanted to come out with a grazer that had tape light at its base, right? And this allowed designers, installers to be able to choose any dimension they want within the inch. It also allowed us to have a very minimalistic, indiscreet grazer. So we've talked about this in the past. This is our GRAZE X. We have a reel-to-reel. If you're interested in getting a deep dive into GRAZE X, we have one on YouTube specifically for GRAZE X. This is our very small, minimalistic grazer. It has tape light at its base. So this allows you to be able to customize the size anywhere from 6 inches all the way up to 8 feet. And you can daisy chain them together to give you this nice, even graze all the way across. So you can do even longer max runs with it. And what's awesome is that this has our X tape light at its base. So this allows you to have all of the CCTs that you get with X. You can do RGBW with it. You can do warm dim. And you still get that very high CRI, right? Great gamut fidelity, as well as that 12-year warranty. So this is just showing you the patent that we had on the right here for the GRAZE X. This is a patent for a dual lens system. It's a precision extruded optic, very, very low profile, very one of a kind in the industry. And so I want to show you just a quick little demo of it. We'll do the top down here first. So really quickly, right, this is what you've used to when you come to us for grazing, right? As you can see, very, very indiscreet, very small, right? This has tape light at its base. It's still not field cuttable, but it has all these options for different types of mounting underneath with this raceway. So that's our 10 degree. I'm gonna show you what's nice is when you use that louver with it. Right, so this is our black grazer, because you can get this in both aluminum, white, or black with our black louver and the articulating arms. So you can see it looks very nice, very jet black, right? So this, you can really customize this grazer. So I'm gonna show you as well, really quick on the actual grazing wall here. I'm gonna show you the difference. Couple here, grab this. There you go. All right, let's take a look at this really quick. So as you can see, right, so right now I'm using a 10 degree optic. As you notice here, right, it's very, very more dramatic, right, when you narrow down that optic. Obviously through video, you're not seeing the full performance that this has. You can see, right, I can bring this in much closer and you can get very dramatic shadows, or you can pull it out a little bit and get less shadowing. Right, so that's the thing with grazing. It's very determinant on the actual application, the size of the wall, right, the width of the wall, height of the wall, the texture that you're dealing with, what color this texture is, will depend on what type of optic to use. So that's the 10 degree. I'm going to show you really quickly here, give you an example of our 60 degree. So you can see here, right? So now there's not nearly as much shadowing with it, but you can obviously, it's a little bit more forgiving when you use a wider optic. So you can see I can pull it in, still get some more shadowing, and then pull it out. What's nice about the 60 or the 30 is if you have a lot of texture on this wall, sometimes a 10 degree will not actually graze straight through it. It will get stuck on some of the texture coming out. So if you have a very textured wall, a 30 degree or a 60 degree is going to have a wider optic and be able to actually skim down that wall more. So that is really the differences that you get with optics. And then I did want to show you just really quickly, what you can do with our RGBW, right? So I'll show you here our RGBW. I'm going to pop it really quickly on my my Kasambi app. Just note, right, with our static white options, right, you have you can go up to about 800 lumens, so you can do very, very tall walls. I would say around 30 feet. In height, our actual RGBW option is a little bit less bright. It's around 300 plus lumens. So this is definitely for shorter walls. I'm going to move this around here. That's a nice green, as you can see, right? I'm going to pop this around the different colors. So still get that nice dramatic effect. Just can't go as tall of a wall, but obviously you have billions of different color options. So just wanted to make sure everyone knew we did have a nice RGBW grazer as well as a warm dim grazer in our GRAZE X family. So, all right. Pop back over here. Let me grab really quickly my... Okay, so moving on, right? So warm dim, RGBW options as well. And then optical control, right? So this is something I want everyone to know. We can help you internally at Diode LED. We can help by getting the height of the wall, the width of the wall, the actual depth of the stone or textured wall that you're trying to graze, as well as the color scheme in the area, and help you choose that optics. Just note though, we also suggest requesting a sample ahead of time, maybe a 10 degree and a 30 degree. Get that out there and actually play around with it. It is definitely going to help. Grazing is very specific. Sometimes you want it to be only 2 inches from the wall, sometimes even closer, maybe 3 or 4 inches out. Maybe you need articulating arms to adjust it back in. There's a lot of different scenarios with grazing, so we definitely suggest getting samples out there. Obviously, we're very liberal with our samples. We want you to see this in person. So yeah, get that out to the job site. So again, right, just to show you a dramatic 10 degree versus 60 degree, right? And then we do have our louver, right? So these louvers that we offer, they come in 1 foot sections. You can cut them when they butt up together. The actual outside is half the size of the inside part of the louver. So this way they butt up seamlessly. Really, grazing with a louver is when you don't have some type of architectural detail to hide that grazer in. It's going to be in direct view. This louver will help with glare coming out the sides of the actual grazer. So installation best practices, I'm going to go through this very quick. Really, we already talked about all this. The biggest thing to remember, right, this is still factory assembled, right? So we have to get the dimensions from you, the specific dimensions, and build this to your specifications and then ship this out. As well as the other one I really want you to remember, right, is request that sample ahead of time. Get it out into the field. It helps a lot. So it helps making sure you know where you're going to mount this, what type of angle you're going to mount this at. Is it going to be adjustable? What optic you're going to use if you need a louver, right? So definitely request those samples ahead of time. So grazing applications, as you know, right, really biggest thing that I wanted to mention with applications is using a pocket frame. So this is something very common in grazing, having some type of architectural detail that you can actually recess the grazer in so it's not in direct view. Most of the grazing applications that we are working on have some type of pocket frame to hide that grazer out of direct view, so that this way you just see the light grazing down the wall and you don't have any type of glare bombs or you don't see the hardware, right? It makes it very nice and clean. So geometric walls, right? Stone fireplaces, a whole bunch of different places in like retail and hospitality where they have even a little bit of textured wall, right? We will end up trying to graze that using a pocket frame. So you can do some really cool different geometric walls with that. This is another application, right, where we graze from both the top and the bottom to give a little bit more of a smooth graze. We do this a lot on larger heighted ceilings, so anything, 20, 30 feet, a lot of times they'll want to graze it both from the top and the bottom. Another example, right, is using 2 grazers. So we do this a lot as well. It might be a very tall wall and also very textured, has a lot of depth. So we'll put 1 grazer in a pocket frame, graze down the first half, and then we'll have another grazer slightly out from the wall, and that will graze down the second half as well. So what not to do, right? These are just some examples of what not to do, right? Scalloping. That is a lighting designer's trick. That's in the top right, where you see these very, you almost see the beam spreads. This is what you won't get with our grazing because it's a linear fixture, so you're going to get nice, even grazing. Or the one in the top left, right, where they put a grazer on a wall, but it's not the actual entire width of the wall, so you see the beam spreads going up the middle, right? You have hot spots on the outside, or as you can see even in the bottom middle, this is another example of when the grazer does not go the entirety of the wall. You're going to see that beam spread come down. You're going to have hot spots on the outside of it, and that's another example as well with the bottom right. So to end it off here, we wanted to talk about a brand new product. I know I'm running out of time. I was a little bit behind because of the volume here, but this is our OBD Flex Optics. As of right now, the GRAZE X is only for interior applications. So we came out with the OBD Flex Optics. This is a flexible IP65 grazer, somewhat of a hybrid, does grazing as well as a little bit of washing. We'll have this offered at first with a 20 degree beam spread as well as an asymmetrical channel optic. You can cut this in the field every 6 inches on the cut points. We don't as of now have connectors, so this will be solder in field, or we can do a factory assembled solution for you as well. But you can jump this around a corner, do different types of connections in field. You just have to make sure that you can solder in field as of right now, since we don't have connectors for it. This will have multiple different mounting accessories as well, a straight channel, adjustable clips in the future here, straight regular mounting clips. So I want to demo this for you, show it to you here. So let me show you really quickly on the top down, and then we'll end it off with showing you on the actual grazing wall. So as you can see here, right, it's flexible, right? It has adhesive on the back, 3M tape. These are the actual optics right here, cut points, as you can see here, just like tape light. You can cut it every 6 inches. Right, still flexible, great IP65 product. I want to show you though some options here and why I really love this product. So my favorite part about the OBD, let me show this one here first. Let's go. So actually this bad boy, here we go. So you can see here, right, I'm using this in our straight channel, right, to keep it straight. All you have to do is place down the optics in there. And as you can see here, what I love about this, the optics on this is our 20 degree, is you can pull this in very close and get very dramatic grazing, but you can also pull this much farther away and get almost like a hybrid, where it's like kind of like you're washing it in a way. You still get some of those dramatic details with the shadowing. So that's what I love about this. Think retaining walls, right, where you have a retaining wall with stone and you have plants in front of it. You can lay this behind the plant so it's hidden out of direct view and end up grazing up the retaining wall. And what I like about this is that now you're not stuck with having to put it so close to the retaining wall. You can actually pull this away, as you can see, and almost do more of a wash. Right? So that's, I just wanted to showcase that. And then we also have the asymmetric. I'll show you an example of that really quick, see if we can see the difference here. So the asymmetric, all that's really doing, right, is taking a narrow beam spread, right, and popping it towards the actual wall. Is really the best analogy I can explain for asymmetric. So you get a little bit more washing with the asymmetric, but you get most of that light thrown actually on to the wall versus just straight up. So you can pull this much farther away and give you about give you like a hybrid graze and wash. So right now I have this as much as 7 to 8 inches away from this wall, and you can you're still getting light thrown onto this stone wall. So you can pull it closer, you get more of that dramatic effect, right? Obviously not coming the best through video camera, but